What's going on? Boys, today we are discussing the way I study types. These methods might help you study types if you're having a hard time. If not, maybe this will give you insight into the INTP function stack. Firstly, you need an interest in or a need for a type. You can study a type without an interest in or a need for them, but your results won't be as thorough and they won't come as quickly. For me, if I don't care about a type, if I'm not interested in them, it's hard to give enough of a shit actively to study them. Interest helps. Pick someone or something you like, a type. Your next step is to watch videos or articles by or about that specific type and lurk online communities dedicated to that type. Now, regarding this process, this is hands-off. You are not getting involved. You are watching from a distance so you can look for patterns without your interference. Secondly, you are looking for patterns. You are not absorbing or taking all the information you see at face value. That'll get you nowhere, that'll get you confused. You need to look for key words and themes or behaviors that pop up in all these hands-off sources. For instance, this video says INTPs act these ways. That video says INTPs act these ways. Which things line up? Pay attention to all the points, but pay most attention to the ones which line up. Then try another video. Once you have a core set of themes, see how INTPs act in online communities. There are lots of them. They are so useful for comparing or picking up on patterns. Patterns in thinking, patterns in behavior, patterns of the way people think or feel about this type. You aren't looking for what, you're looking for how. And the more instances of the same thing you see, the closer you're getting to something. Then, once you have a general conception of the type in your head, based on all the things you've seen, all the patterns, hands off, then you speak with people of that type. As many as you can, once you have that conception in your head built. What you're doing when you're speaking with all these people directly is comparing your conception of the information you've absorbed against real examples. At this point, your conception is going to get fucked up a bunch. But some things will remain true, and you will pick up on other patterns. It might seem like a one-off thing in one person, but then you speak with 5 more, and you see that same thing come up again, and again, and again. You are taking your general outsider's conception and grounding it in reality to build another conception. Not everything is going to fit, but that's okay. Other things will, and eventually your idea of that type will become clearer. I use a rule of 3, right? So one person says one thing that isn't related to your conception. That is an anomaly or it's individuality. Most things are going to fall into that category. If it happens again, the exact same thing happens again in another person of the same type, that is your warning system to pay attention. Something might be going on here. You see it a third time in a person of that same type. That is probably a pattern. At that point, especially if it lines up with general or hands-off things I've noticed, at that point I'm comfortable trusting something is happening there. Of course, you'll want to keep on testing it with people of that same type, but if it's happened more than 3 times, or 3 or more times, you're onto something. Something is happening there. Your next step is application. Take what you know about a type, your conception of the type, your generalized, hands-off, blank slate version of the type, stripped down to all of the proven patterns, and make predictions about people, how they'll respond to things, what they'll do, what they'll think, how they'll feel. The more of those predictions you get right, you're really onto something. That's, at that point, once I can predict someone's behavior without knowing them at all, just knowing their type, or guessing their type, typing them, and they follow that generalized idea, that's when I think, okay, that is that type. If they are to the point I can predict them, that's when I'm absolutely confident, and I'll use that information or those ideas confidently. Now, what you're doing with all this is you're turning people into data sets. Alone, or for one person, they aren't particularly helpful. But the more of these data sets you gather, the more you know to look for and write down, the more accurate it'll be once you press all these data sets down on top of each other to see what lines up. Sometimes you'll learn general behavior stuff about a type, but sometimes you get weird and interesting things about types which are unique to that specific type. It's all about what lines up at every step of the process. Hands off, hands on, or personal, then prediction. If everything lines up, you're learning about a type. But something worth mentioning, you should never, ever tell people that's what you're doing. That you are turning them into a data set you're comparing against other data sets. They will attack you so quickly and fuck up not just your information gathering, but they will worm their way in and try to fuck up other aspects of your life. I don't know why people have such a negative reaction to this way of thinking, but they do. It's frustrating for me because even before MBTI, this is just the way I thought about things. Individuality and category are cooperative, not competitive. But most people won't follow that, and they will try to fuck you up. So never let anyone know that's what's going on when you're studying types this way. So, quick summary. Work toward a type you're already interested in, otherwise your work will be slow and shoddy. Next step, hands off. Watch videos, lurk online communities, read articles. Look for trends, develop a hands-off conception that you have nothing to do with. Step 3, get involved with as many people of that type as you can and test that hands-off conception against them to see what lines up. Get rid of what doesn't work, find new patterns, incorporate those new patterns based in reality into your conception until it's solid. Then, once you have that grounded conception, use it to make predictions about people. What they do, what they think, how they'll feel, etc. The more you predict correctly, the more right you are. Finally, remember the rule of 3. Happens once, it's probably just an anomaly or individuality. Yes, individuality and category can happen at the same time. If it happens a second time in a separate person, start paying attention. There might be answers to your questions in that second appearance. 3 times or more, you are onto something. Hound it until you are sure. Finally, the stronger your grounded conception, the stronger your case file, the more you can use it to accomplish things, to understand, the better you are. But that about rippity wraps this one up. I hope you enjoyed watching, because I certainly enjoyed making it. The more exposure you get to a type you're studying in any form, the more exposure, the better off you are. Like if you enjoyed, because it helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't, because we do this shit sometimes. And comment your thoughts, because I love hearing from you. How do you study types? What does the NISE studying process look like? Thanks again for watching, everybody. Really, we have a lot of fun on this channel. So much fun. In fact, you could frame it. You could frame the fun we have and look on it on rainy days, and it'll brighten you up, because we have a lot of fun on this channel. But that's how much fun we have on this channel. I look forward to doing this with you guys again in the future.